Hello and welcome to Stories Behind the Songs. I'm Jim Tompkins, and in each episode I tell the fascinating backstory behind some of rock and pop's most iconic songs. Today's song is Hotel California by the Eagles. Released in 1976, Hotel California is probably the Eagles' best-known record. It won the Grammy for Record of the Year, topped the Billboard chart, and to date has over 1.7 billion streams on Spotify, making it one of the top-ranking rock songs of all time. It's also a song that people have conjectured about since it was released. What exactly does it mean? Is there an actual Hotel California? In addition to the mystery, it has an interesting story on how it was constructed. So let's jump in and explore the history of this great song. By 1976, the Eagles had released 4 albums and had 2 #1 singles, The Best of My Love and Take It to the Limit. But the best was yet to come. In March of 1976, at Criteria Studios in Miami, the Eagles set about to record their 5th studio album. The first song they would work on was Hotel California. The inception of Hotel California started with lead guitarist Don Felder, who had joined the Eagles in 1974 during the recording of the album One of These Nights. One of the reasons Felder was recruited into the Eagles was to help them attain more of a rock and roll sound as they transitioned from a softer country rock style. Prior to the start of recording of the album, Felder was making demo tapes which he would then record and send along to the rest of the band. I had just leased this house out on the beach at Malibu. I guess it was around 74 or 75. I remember sitting in the living room with all the doors wide open on a spectacular July day. I had this acoustic 12-string and I started tinkling around with it, and those Hotel California chords just kind of oozed out. I knew it was unique, but didn't know if it was appropriate for the Eagles. It was kind of reggae, almost an abstract guitar part for what was on the radio back then. Every once in a while it seems like the cosmos part and something great just plops in your lap. When he eventually sent the mixtape to Henley and Fry, it was the one song that really stood out to them. What made it particularly interesting were what sounded like influences from Latin and reggae music. In fact, Henley said he liked the song that sounds like a Mexican reggae or bolero, which gave the song its first working title, Mexican Reggae. It was Glenn Fry who came up with the cinematic concept of a wanderer out in the desert who stumbles onto a scene of a weird world peopled by freaky characters, and became quickly spooked by the claustrophobic feeling of being caught in a disturbing web from which he may never escape. In an interview with Cameron Crowe, Fry said that he and Henley wanted the song to open like an episode of The Twilight Zone, and added, "We take this guy and make him like a character in The Magus, where every time he walks through a door there's a new version of reality. We wanted to write a song just like it was in a movie." On a dark desert highway, cool wind in my hair, warm smell of colitas. Henley came up with the theme of Hotel California, based loosely on the Beverly Hills Hotel, which had become something of a symbolic and literal focal point for the Eagles at that time. Henley said of their experience in L.A., "We were getting an extensive education in life, in love, in business. Beverly Hills was still a mythical place to us. In that sense, it became something of a symbol, and the hotel the locus of all that L.A. had come to mean for us. In a sentence, I'd sum it up as the end of the innocence, round 1. According to Don Felder, L.A. itself was part of the imagery captured in the song. In a Song Facts interview, he said, "As you're driving in Los Angeles at night, you can see the glow of the energy and the lights of Hollywood and Los Angeles for 100 miles out in the desert. And on the horizon, as you're driving in, all these images start coming into your mind of the propaganda and advertisement you've experienced about California. In other words, the movie stars, the stars on Hollywood Boulevard, the beaches, bikinis, palm trees. All those images that you see and that people think of when they think of California start running through your mind. You're anticipating that. That's all you know of California." The Eagles recorded Hotel California with Don Henley on lead vocals. Don Felder had to lower the key because the initial melody was in too high a key for his voice. Then they felt that the recording was too fast, so the instrumentation was fine-tuned with additional takes. The final section that has the legendary guitar battle between Joe Walsh and Don Felder has itself an interesting story. When Felder and Walsh initially started improvising, Don Henley insisted they stick to the music as it was originally recorded on Felder's demo. However, the improvisations won the day and did make it onto the final cut of the record. Joe Walsh with a Fender Telecaster, and Don Felder with a Gibson Les Paul traded guitar licks as the song came to its conclusion. It took the two of them sitting together for 3 days to work out the precision of the back-and-forth guitar solo. After the album was completed, Don Henley wanted Hotel California to be a single, although Felder had doubts, as did the record company. At over 6 minutes, it was way longer than the song's radio stations wanted to play. As Felder said, "When we finally finished that whole album, the record company had been pounding on the door trying to get in and get this record because they wanted to release it. We were about 4 months overdue on delivering our record per our contract, so we finally let the record company in. The execs come in and we had this playback party for them at the record plant here in Los Angeles. And after the song Hotel California played, Henley turned around and said, 'That's gonna be our single.' The pushback from the record company had to do with the AM format at the time, which is what the Eagles were aiming for. The songs were supposed to be no longer than 3 to 3.5 minutes long, and preferably were a dance track, a rock track, or a ballad. The intro was supposed to be 30 seconds or less before the singer started singing. Said Felder, 'Hotel California is 6.5 minutes long. The introduction to it is a minute long. You can't really dance to it. It stops in the middle when the drums stop, mirrors on the ceiling, that section, and it's got a 2-minute guitar solo on the end. It's the complete wrong format.' So I said, 'Don, I think you're wrong. I think that's a mistake. I don't think we should put that out as the single. Maybe an FM cut, but not a single.' And he said, 'Nope, that's going to be our single. And I've never been so delighted to have been so wrong in my life. You just don't know.' From there, the mysterious aura around Hotel California grew. It's something people have conjectured about since the song was released nearly 5 decades ago. Part of the lyrics, such as, 'Her mind is Tiffany twisted, she got the Mercedes-Benz, she got a lot of pretty boys she calls friends,' are based on Henley's breakup with his girlfriend Lori Rodkin. Also, the use of the word steely in the lyric, 'They stab it with their steely knives, but they just can't kill the beast,' was a nod to Steely Dan, who had the lyric, 'Turn up the Eagles, the neighbors are listening,' in their song Everything You Did. The Eagles have attempted to describe the song on numerous occasions. In an interview with Rolling Stone, Henley said that the song was meant to be more of a symbolic piece about America in general, and added, 'Lyrically, the song deals with traditional or classical themes of conflict, darkness and light, good and evil, youth and age, the spiritual versus the secular. I guess you could say it's a song about loss of innocence.' Henley also called it our interpretation of the high life in Los Angeles, and later said, 'It's not really about California, it's about America. It's about the dark underbelly of the American dream. It's about excess, it's about narcissism. It's about the music business. It can have a million interpretations.' On just about every album we made, there was some kind of commentary on the music business and on American culture in general. The hotel itself could be taken as a metaphor not only for the myth-making of Southern California, but for the myth-making that is the American dream, because it's a fine line between the American dream and the American nightmare. Perhaps Henley said it best in the 2013 documentary History of the Eagles, when he said the song was about a journey from innocence to experience. That's all. Here are some other interesting facts about the song Hotel California. In 1998, the long guitar coda was voted the best guitar solo of all time by readers of Guitarist magazine. It was also ranked 8th on Guitar Magazine's Top 100 Guitar Solos, and was ranked number 1 in the list of the best 12-string guitar songs of all time by Guitar World magazine in 2015. There's been question about the line, "warm smell of colitas rising up through the air," as to what exactly is colitas. Colitas doesn't mean anything in English, but in Spanish it means little tails, and it most likely refers to the buds of the marijuana plant. As Don Felder said, the colitas is a plant that grows in the desert that blooms at night, and it has this kind of pungent, almost funky smell. Don Henley came up with a lot of the lyrics for that song, and he came up with Colitas. In 1998, at the induction of the Eagles into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, all 7 past and present members of the Eagles, Henley, Fry, Felder, Walsh, Randy Meisner, Bernie Ledden, and Timothy B. Schmidt, appeared on stage together for the only time to perform Hotel California. Hotel California won the 1977 Grammy Award for Record of the Year, but the Eagles didn't show up to accept it. That's because Don Henley didn't believe in contests, and the band had work to do. Timothy B. Schmidt had just joined and was learning the repertoire. Schmidt says they watched the ceremony on TV while they were rehearsing. As the sales of Hotel California went through the roof, lawyers for the Beverly Hills Hotel threatened the photographer of the album cover with a cease and desist action, until it was pointed out by his lawyer that the hotel's request for bookings had tripled since the release of the album. Testifying on Russian influence over American affairs before the Senate Judiciary Committee on July 27, 2017, businessman William Browder invoked Hotel California, saying, "There's no such thing as a former intelligence officer in Russia. It's like the Hotel California. You can check out any time you like, but never leave." That wraps up the story behind the song Hotel California. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll be back soon with another story behind a great rock and roll song.